Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction that will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Belanger.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Mayor Kennedy.
Here.
Councilor Leahy. Councilor Leary.
Here.
Councilor Mercier.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
Councilor Rourke.
Here.
Councilor Samaras.
Here.
8 present.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to offer a moment of silence in darkened chambers for a woman that just passed today, actually a young student at UMass Lowell. She was a remarkable individual, and I just want to say a couple of words about her. She was a UMass Lowell, while she wasn't a resident, she was a UMass Lowell student, and for many years she battled cancer in many forms, and ultimately was diagnosed with a terminal illness. And it was about a month ago, myself, we represented you, Mr. Mayor, at a ceremony. The Chancellor of the University Administration held a separate ceremony for this young lady. The only thing that she wanted to do before she was going to pass away was to graduate from UMass Lowell with a degree in computer science. And the university did, knowing that she perhaps wouldn't make the ceremony. She persevered. She took all of her exams, satisfied all of the requirements, and in fact did receive her Bachelor of Science and was awarded through a separate ceremony. So I just wanted to recognize her. Myself and Councilor Rourke, we did attend. We represented you, Mr. Mayor, in addition to getting her diploma. She also got a citation from the city, and she was very much honored. But if you could have seen the excitement and just the satisfaction of her graduating and receiving that distinguished honor of graduating from college, it was incredibly touching and something I certainly will never forget. Something that, reflecting on someone that wanted to graduate and was, her education was that important to her, really was quite overwhelming. So I just wanted to offer a moment's silence in darkened chambers for her. So. Councilor Rourke and I were there, and it was truly an amazing event. And she's an amazing, amazing young lady.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just add, on top of Councilor Elliott's comments, rest in peace, Brianna Gainley. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next order of business are the minutes. Minutes of the zoning subcommittee of April 12th, the minutes of the city council special meeting of April 12th, the minutes of the city council regular meeting of April 12th, the housing subcommittee of April 20th, and neighborhood subcommittee of April 21st. Those minutes for acceptance. Do we have a motion to approve? We have a motion to accept the minutes.
Move approval.
And seconded by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the Housing Subcommittee meeting, I would just like to amend that because the subcommittee report reflects the fact that we started the meeting at 1 p.m. and we ended it at 6:30. That's a 5.5 hour long meeting that I've never had the strength to attend. So it ended about 2:20. It was only like an hour and a half.
Are you sure you didn't leave early?
I didn't, but that's a long meeting.
Okay, the clerk will make that amendment to the minutes. And so the minutes, those minutes as amended, the motion is to accept and place on file. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? So voted. The next item is a order of taking an acceptance for a portion of Suffolk Street. Oh, okay, that's for 7 too, okay. All right, we'll skip down to communications from the city manager. We have several items. The first is the Old Ferry Road traffic safety issue. Any discussion on that issue? Councilor Elliott, did you just hold your hand up like that? Yeah. Okay, the next item is the Ludlam Street sewerage issue. Okay, the next item is the street lighting between Prescott, Warren, and Middlesex Streets. Any discussion on that? Councilor Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the city manager for this report. As you're aware, Mr. Manager, that lighting has been a problem in the downtown, or people consider it a problem that we've been working on, and it's coming along slowly, but it's becoming very effective, the lighting changes that have been made in the downtown. When I made this motion regarding the lighting between Prescott, Warren, and Middlesex Street, I want to thank you for the information that you did provide. It does show that the University of Middlesex Community College have to do something about some of the lights that are there, and I appreciate the fact that you've contacted them to make that change, because the one thing about that area, many of the visitors that do come to Lowell park in the garage by the university, or people, coming to see their children stay at the university, stay at that hotel, or if people are going to go to the MRT, use the bridge over the river to get from the garage to the MRT or the auditorium. So we have many visitors in that area, and it is a dark area, and sometimes if you're from out of town, it can be somewhat, not so much frightening, but something of concern. So I'm glad that you've are working with these two agencies, because I think this will help this area immensely. Thank you for the report.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on item C? If not, moving on to item D, which is OSHA training. Any discussion on OSHA training? If not, moving on, there's item E is informational from the city manager, the introduction of the new Health and Human Services Director, Karen Virgo. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you to the City Council. At our last meeting, Councilor Mercier and the entire City Council, I agree 100% is when we do hire a new department head, we should bring them here to introduce them to the council. This is sort of a bittersweet introduction, though, because we're saying farewell for the time being to Joanne Keegan. She's done a tremendous job. When the prior health director left, I asked her to come on. I think she retired on Friday from the state and came to work for the city on Monday. She didn't skip a beat. There were a lot of issues that she had to address, the E. coli bacteria over in the Merrimack River, the opiate abuse issues, and on and on and on, and she did a spectacular job. We should really thank her for the tremendous job that she did. But she's not leaving us. She's going back to chair the Board of Health, so she'll remain involved. And I'd like her to come up just to say a few words and to introduce our new Director of Health and Human Services. So, Joanne, if you could come up.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy, members of the City Council, Manager Murphy, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to have served as the city's health director. The health department, like many other departments in this city, consists of dedicated professional staff who, whatever we accomplished in the last 9 months, really was a team effort by the folks there at the health department. Health department staff do a variety of things, some of which not too many people are aware of, from issuing burial permits to working with folks on the opiate epidemic to visiting TB patients in their home to observe their medication. We have a staff of nurses that care for every student in the Lowell public and private schools. the efforts that they provide every day really are incredible. And so it was great to work with a staff of professionals like those at the health department. And I probably shouldn't say this, but most of them are underpaid. I do look forward to rejoining my colleagues on the Board of Health, and I thank you for allowing me to continue to serve this fine city. As a Board of Health member, I will now have a better appreciation of the work that the Health Department does every day. I am very happy to introduce Karen Vigru, and I wish her much success in her new position as Director of Health and Human Services. Karen?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Councilors, Mr. Manager. Thank you for having me here tonight. I would like to thank you for allowing Joanne to work with me over the past 3 weeks and allow for that transition period that was, I think, critical to understanding some of the history and so that you just don't walk into a gap. And I do thank you for that gift. Thank you, Joanne. I appreciate your insight and your willingness to step up and help the division while they were without a director, and she certainly provided great leadership to them over that time. I just want to say I'm pleased to be here. I can't wait to really get into the business of running your Health and Human Services Department, which is a bit new for the city. And thank you for putting your faith in me, and I will work hard for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real briefly, Mr. Manager, at some point in time, perhaps you could, once the new Health Human Services Director settles in, you could present to the council the reorganization that you that the department has gone through and the various new duties or responsibilities that she is assuming and underneath that new department. I think that'd be helpful for us, even before we go into the budget season, to see exactly what you did and how well the department is going to run now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to accept the communications from the city manager and place them on file. We have a motion to that effect by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Rourke. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next item is a communication to accept the resignation of Stephen Green from the Sustainability Council. Do we have a motion to accept that and place it on file by Councilor Leary, seconded by Councilor Elliott? Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next item is a communication from the city manager requesting out-of-state travel for one member of the Lowell Fire Department. Any discussion? Do we have a motion to approve? Motion to approve?
I will approve this, but just on the last motion, can we send Mr. Green a letter of thanks? He was actually the individual that so spearheaded the first Green Building Commission. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, should have said this last, but I think that at the very least, we should thank him.
Okay, thank you.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Belanger, for out-of-state travel for one member of the Lowell Fire Department.
2 members. It's 2 members, I believe. It's one request, but there are 2 individuals going.
Okay, yes, okay. Thank you, Councilor Milanazzo. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy. Council Leary.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milanazzo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
8 yeas.
The next item is a vote for a license agreement with East Mills LP, care of Wind Development, doing business as the apartment of the Boot Mills at 178 Bridge Street for overhanging banners. If there's no objection by general consent, we'll just waive the full first reading. The second reading, authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with the East Mills Limited Partnership, care of Wind Development, doing business as the apartment at Boot Mills, to encroach upon the city of Lowell property at 178 Bridge Street in Lowell, Massachusetts. We have a motion to approve. We have a motion to approve by Councilor Milanazzo, second by Councilor Rourke. Discussion on the motion. Roll call.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy. Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras. 8
Yes.
yeas.
The next item is a vote for a license agreement with Jasmira Montez, doing business as Fabiano's Pizza and Cafe at 127 Merrimack Street, for an overhanging sign. If there's no objection by general consent, we'll waive the full first reading, go to the second reading, which is authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with Jasmira Montez, doing business as Fabiano's Pizza and Cafe, to encroach upon the city of Lowell property at 127 Merrimack Street in Lowell, Massachusetts. Is there a motion to approve? Motion to approve by Counsel Milonazo, seconded by Counsel Rourke. Discussion on the motion. Roll call.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy. Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager to execute a limited access agreement with Habitat for Humanities at 616 Franklin Street. If there's no objection, by general consent, we'll waive the full first reading. Go right to the second reading. Vote authorizing the city manager to execute a limited access agreement between the city of Lowell and the Habitat for Humanity of Greater Lowell Incorporated relative to 16 Franklin Street. Do we have a motion to approve? We have a motion approved by Councilor Samaras, seconded by Councilor Leary. Discussion on the motion. Roll call.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy. Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Next, we have an order from the,
It's going to be pulled, Mr. Mayor.
okay, item 6.1 is being pulled.
That's correct.
And we have item 7.1, which is an ordinance to amend and extend, to extend the zoning district, the SMU zone to include 35 Shirley Ave. If there's no objection, by general consent, we'll waive the full first reading, and the chair would look for a motion to refer to the planning board for report and recommendation. We have a motion by Councilor Mercia to do that, seconded by Councilor Samaras. Discussion?
And could I, Mr. Mayor, could I also include in that motion to a public hearing before this council on May 24th as well?
Okay.
At 7 p.m.
And for a public hearing on May 24th? All in favor? All opposed? So voted. Next, the subcommittee reports. We have 3. The first is the Housing Subcommittee of April 20th, 2016.
Yeah, that's me.
Councilor
Thank
Mercia.
you, Mr. Mayor. You're just on a roll, aren't you?
Don't slow me down.
I know, I'm afraid. Geez, you're on a roll. Well, on April 20th, we held a housing subcommittee meeting at 1 p.m. All the members of the committee were present, Councilor Belanger and Councilor Samaras, the purpose of which was to discuss a report on the status of the proposed Lowell House, Inc. Redevelopment plan, which was presented by Bill Garr, the executive director of the Lowell House, Inc. Those also in attendance was Young Ju Choi, director of the CBA, Mark Horn, project manager for the CBA, John Livingstone, director of residential program for the Lowell House, Barbara Dunsford, director of development for the Lowell House, Maureen Ketchum, president of the Lowell House Board of Directors, David Nastasia, vice president of the Board of Directors of the Lowell House, John Finnegan, Board of Directors Emeritus for the Lowell House. Suffice it to say that Lowell House was well represented by everyone you could possibly think of. Also present were City Manager Kevin Murphy, Diane Trad, DPD, Phil Correa, DPD, Chris Samaras, DPD, Kevin Coughlin, DPD, and we were on the city side well represented as well. Bill Garr gave a slide presentation and passed out packets of information on the proposed plans, outlining the history of the project and the need for this type of facility. He said that the Lowell House was in the same location for the past 30 years and that healthy living is a healthy Lowell. Mr. Garr discussed what the best use of the building was and felt that the best prospect was to raise the existing building and start anew and build up 4 stories and allow the building to look the same as the Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union and be a part of the revival of Merrimack Street. The first floor would be the office space where clients would receive services, and the remaining second, third, and fourth floors would consist of 1 and 2 bedrooms. This would be a building that would be on the tax rolls and provide support for those whose goal is to have a sober living lifestyle, thus adding to the goal of eliminating the epidemic of addiction. The Lowell House and the CBA are partnering together to make these plans happen. CBA has the ability to build and manage the property as proven in other areas, such as the housing development on Gorham Street across from Superior Court. Mr. Garr noted that this project would be a good fit for grants and supports a family approach to addiction recovery. It was also stated that a veteran element could be included in the plans. The first floor to build would total $2.1 million, while the remaining 3 stories would be an additional $7.1 million. Because we heard the well-proposed plans, we still have a lot of questions, such as the timeline for this work to begin, fundraising efforts, grant applications, and approvals, permits, zoning, etc. We need to gather more information at this time, so our only recourse was to we need to gather more information at this time, so our only recourse was to entertain a motion by Councilor Samaras, seconded by Councilor Belanger, and refer this matter to the city manager to discuss with all parties regarding timeline and aspect of the project in order to formulate recommendations to the full council. But let me just say that we are all aware of the scourge that has invaded our city. We know too well the people who are struggling with addiction, and we are all coming together to find ways and means to help those in need, whether it be counseling, medical, or housing programs that culminate into one that helps to make a person whole again. We have the city's opioid task force, and our district attorney, Marion Ryan, has her own task force meeting that she holds regularly at Lowell General Hospital with the movers of shakers and shakers in the community, in the public safety field. Great strides are taking place, but more needs to be done and have. But although everyone plays a great part to address addiction, we do not have enough treatment facilities. Oftentimes we hear the number one cry, there are not enough beds. There are some wonderful treatment facilities. Quite recently was the formation of the Megan House with programs available in 23-unit bed capacity structure. But before us was an opportunity to hear and the progress with the Lowell House. And they were in their 45th year of offering addiction services, 30 years in the same location, but 45 years offering addiction services to our community. But we're now looking to add another component to their repertoire by coming before us and asking permission to build up on their existing site to have 23 sober living apartments. We're not making a recommendation, but because it's in its infancy stage, but we referred this issue to the city manager. But if any of my colleagues would like to add any more to it, it was a very informative meeting attended by the city and attended by the Lowell House, Inc. and CBA. So it's a good partnership, but again, it is up to more grant funding, and so it's a good start. So this is just the start of something that I feel is good. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor.
Any further discussion on the chairman's report for Housing Subcommittee? Councilor Elliott?
So, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the manager. Mr. Manager, is the city looking at this project and the location and the viability, or is it all based on you know, the application and receipt of a grant? Is it zoned? I mean, are you taking a look at that?
Through you, Mayor, thank you.
Yes.
As it was brought out at the subcommittee, they haven't met with us
Okay.
at all. Mr. Garr met with me probably about a year ago to show me just a picture of the exterior of the building, but we haven't been informed of any of the details until the subcommittee meeting, and they're going to come in and visit with us now. They'll meet with me, the Division of Planning and Development, and we'll find out then whether they need any relief. I have a sense they're going to need some parking relief, but we'll figure that all out. But they did indicate at the subcommittee meeting that they were going to be looking for home funds from the city to get this project going. And, you know, there are numerous entities that apply for home funds, so that's something that's, we'll have to look into.
So as you know, Mr. Manager, the city received a Working Cities grant, particularly for that corridor. Is this being considered as part of that Working Cities process, or is this separate, or is this just, come in later?
Mr. Manager.
Thank you. No, this is coming later and isn't part of the Working Cities process. As a matter of fact, that's one of the issues we have with it, because one of the things we've found out in the Working Cities process is the two major issues facing the acre are transportation and parking. And so this would, if there's no transportation, how are these people going to get to this facility? And if there's no parking, it's just going to exacerbate the issue even more. So it's sort of late in the game for them right now to just be meeting with us right now, but we will meet with them and find out what's going on.
Okay, thank you. Because the Working Cities grant, it's just seed money with once a plan is developed, further resources from the federal and state government to come to specifically provide economic development and improved, central business districts. So I knew you were aware of it, but I think it's good that, that we stay on top of it and find out, exactly the direction of it. Has the business community in that area, I know there are some businesses, have they engaged, I know you're not there anymore, Councilor, but John Deck Credit Union?
Yeah, well, if I could answer that, Councilor Samaras did bring up the Working Cities grant program, and Mr. Gard noted that this project would be a good fit for that grant, as it supports family approach to addiction recovery. And Councilor Samaras questioned the positive economic effect of the project on that part of the city. And Mr. Gard spoke to the funding sources, which included grants, fundraising, and capital planning to cover the first floor. And Ms. Young-Ju Choi noted that the CBA would be funding remainder of the building with tax credits from investment and the home funds from the federal government. So they were all on board with the different aspects. They know where to get it, and they're partnering up together, the CBA and the Lowell House, Inc.
Okay, thank you.
But we're in the initial stages yet. We don't have everything on board. It was just a beginning, but we have to start somewhere, so we started at the Housing Subcommittee.
Any further discussion? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to accept this as a report of progress.
Yes,
That effect by
thank
Councilor
you.
Mercia.
Yes.
Lazo, discussion, all in favor, all opposed? We'll leave this portion of the agenda now, being after 7 o'clock, to go to the public hearings that we have scheduled. And the first public hearing is in order of taking the acceptance of Darling Drive and Cresta Ave. So it's to take by eminent domain and fee certain parcels of land in the city of Lowell for municipal purposes, to wit, the layout and acceptance of Darling Drive and Cresta Drive and other municipal purposes associated therewith. We'll open the public hearing on those who wish to speak in favor. Those who wish to speak in favor.
Good evening. This particular action is just to accept some of the streets that have been unaccepted for years. And as we've been trying to go through the list throughout the city, this was a subdivision that had not been done yet.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak in favor? In favor, hearing none. Close the hearing for the proponents and open it up for those who wish to speak in opposition. Anybody who wish to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing for those who wish to speak in opposition and open it up to the council. Do we have a motion to approve?
Yes.
A motion approved by Councilor
Thank you.
Mercia. There should be a motion to refer to the city clerk's office for 7 days.
Well, then I wanted to make a comment and say that I'm very happy with the city manager to allow the traffic engineer to reinvestigate the different streets that could be accepted, because sometimes they need work and we don't have enough money in our budget, so Chapter 90 money will cover it if it's an accepted street. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? So voted. The next public hearing is an order of taking.
Mr. Mayor?
The next order of taking is an order of taking an acceptance for a portion of Suffolk Street to take by eminent domain in fee a certain parcel of land in the city of Lowell for municipal purposes, to wit, the layout and acceptance of a portion of Suffolk Street and other municipal purposes associated therewith. We'll open up the hearing for those who wish to speak in favor. Anybody who wishes to speak in favor? In favor.
Good evening. This particular action is to accept a portion of Suffolk Street, which is necessary as we move forward with the Tiger Grant to take over the various Unell bridges.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing on behalf of the proponents. Open it up for those who wish to speak in opposition. Anybody who wishes to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing for the opponents and open it up to the council. Do we have a motion to refer to the city clerk for 7 days? We have a motion to that effect by Councilor Milanazzo, seconded by Councilor Samaras. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? All opposed? So voted. The third public hearing of the evening is a request for the removal and installation of a new pole located at 182 Andover Street. We'll open up the hearing for those who wish to speak in favor.
Good evening. My name is Dave Aguirre, and I'm representing National Grid. National Grid is asking for the installation of a pole to support one of the existing poles that's on Andover Street. The purpose of this is there's a pole up at the corner of Nesmith Street and Andover Street. I guess if you're facing up towards Tewksbury, be on the left-hand side. As the trucks go around that corner, they keep hitting that pole, so we're trying to find a different way of we're trying to find a way to remove that pole and open up that intersection a little bit better.
Good, thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Close the hearing for the proponents and open it up for those who wish to speak in opposition. Anybody who wishes to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing for those who wish to speak in opposition. And the chair would entertain a motion to refer this to the wire inspector for report and recommendation. We have a motion to that effect by Councilor Milanazzo, seconded by Councilor Rourke. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? All opposed? So voted. Returning now to item 8.1-2, the next subcommittee report is for the neighborhood subcommittee for the meeting that was held on April 21st. Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thursday, April 21st, the Neighborhood Services Subcommittee held the meeting at St. Anthony's Parish, which is in the Back Central neighborhood of Lowell. We discussed issues concerning the Back Central neighborhood. Joined by myself was Councilor Samaras and Councilor Leahy, also members of the subcommittee. Also there was Manager Murphy, Parking Director Nick Navin. From Lowell Police, we had Sergeant Jafrida and Deputy Webb. Concerns of that evening revolved around fireworks, snow removal, police presence. For the vast majority of the members of the Back Central neighborhood and the residents were very happy with what was going on in the neighborhood. What was brought up, Mr. Mayor, was there was some illegal activity along the Greenway walking trail, which the manager and the deputy said that they would look into and send extra police patrols in that area. And also brought up at that meeting was a few addresses for our inspections department to take a look at to make sure that they're up to code and that they follow all the city rules. All in all, it was a good meeting. Again, it was well attended. A lot of issues direct to that neighborhood were brought up. The manager gave a status of the city report, also including the Back Central neighborhood. Deputy Webb gave the police report for the area as well. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that's my review of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. We have a motion by Councilor Rourke to accept the report as a report of progress, seconded by Councilor Samaras. Discussion. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. The third subcommittee report is for the zoning subcommittee for the meeting that was of April 26th. Councilman Malinowski.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The zoning subcommittee met earlier this evening. In attendance were myself, Council Belanger, and Council Rourke as members of the zoning subcommittee. We also had Council Samaras and Council Leary and Council Mercier in attendance, along with City Manager Murphy, Eric Slagle from the Development Services Office. And we talked, the reason for the meeting was, if you recall, we had a zoning request to actually extend the existing neighborhood business zoning district to include 8 and 20 Stockbridge Avenue and 9 Magnolia Street. We actually opened a public hearing back a couple of weeks ago, and it was suspended, and it was referred to the zoning subcommittee, which the meeting took place tonight. We did have a presentation from Attorney George Theodora, who was representing the petitioners, and we also heard from a lot of the neighborhood residents as well. Jerry Frechette from the planning board also gave a very detailed explanation as to why. As we all know, the planning board did act upon this request, and they recommended decline on a 4-0 vote, and he just wanted to make sure, after seeing us meeting a couple of weeks ago, wanted to make sure that we understood as a subcommittee their reasons behind for their decline. After about an hour of discussion by certainly the neighborhood, represented by the Pawtuckaville Citizens Council, as well as Eric Slagle answering a few questions from the subcommittee. A motion was made by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Belanger, that it be referred back to a public hearing to be held next Tuesday. I believe the date is May 3rd. So again, we had a lot of good information from both sides this evening, but again, the public hearing will be reopened next Tuesday, at which time the full council will hear more testimony and then take action. Again, this is the fourth, it was mentioned to me this evening, or to the subcommittee, this is the fourth time the neighborhood residents have been out to talk about this, either at the planning board or the city council. We certainly, at least I certainly appreciate their indulgence as we go through this process, but it is a process. So I think next Tuesday we will have some finality, if you will, to the whole issue next Tuesday. So that's my report, Mr.
Thank you,
Mr.
Councilor.
Mayor.
Just as a point of information, that public hearing was suspended, right? Until next Tuesday?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And so the motion from the subcommittee is to go back to the public
Correct.
hearing next Tuesday?
Correct.
Okay, and that's seconded by,
Council Belanger. It was made by Council Rourke, seconded by Council Belanger.
Okay. And so we'll make the same motion for here? Okay, all discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next up, petitions. We have 3 property claims.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. I just want to announce that next week there'll be a meeting of the Subcommittee on Economic Development, and we expect to have the members of the state delegation present to speak about the monies that do come into Lowell with the state and talk about projected plans for the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Rourke.
Thank you. I'd like to announce the next 2 neighborhood subcommittees. On May 2nd at the Wang School in Pawtuckaville at 7 p.m. We'll be having a neighborhood services subcommittee, obviously to discuss Pawtuckaville neighborhood issues. And also, Mr. Mayor, May 11th, 6:30 at the Sullivan School, we'll have the neighborhood services committee concerning the Belvedere neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to petitions. We have 3 property claims. The Chair would entertain a motion to refer them to the Law Department for report and recommendation. We have a motion by Councilor Leary, seconded by Councilor Belanger to do that. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, we have from Charlie Hondras, we have a request for an installation of 1 handicap parking sign at 190 Westford Street on the Smith Street side. Chair would entertain a motion to refer to the traffic engineer for report and recommendation. We have a motion to that effect by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Samaras. All in discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next item is the Lowell 5-cent Savings Bank request that City Council grant an easement for benefit of premises located at 246.1 Market Street. The chair would entertain a motion to refer that to the law department for report and recommendation. We have a motion by Council Leary to do that, seconded by Council Belanger. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next is a request for installation of a sidewalk located at 272 Riverside Street. Chair would entertain, we have a motion by Council Belanger. Oh, we have a
Petition is present, Mr. Mayor.
Hi, my name is Makar. I just opened a business and food truck right across the street from UMass Lowell. And like I serve around like 200 to 300 students a day. And I'm requested to like make a sidewalk because they stay in raining and a bad weather, like a few minutes, so somebody can allow them to cross the road to get the food from my truck. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion by Council Leary to refer to the traffic engineer for report and recommendation, seconded by Council Belanger. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, the City Council motions. The first motion of the evening is a motion by Councilor Mercia to request that the city manager address the deteriorating conditions, flooding issues, and improper drainage on Huntoon Avenue. Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Mercia.
The motion speaks for itself.
Nice. Any further discussion? All in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next is a motion by Councilor Elliott to request the city manager discuss the placing of POW MIA chair at Cawley Stadium and refer the request to the Parks Subcommittee and the Board of Parks Subcommittee for approval. Seconded by Councilor Belanger. Councilor Elliott.
I think, is there someone registered to speak, Mr. Mayor?
There is not, Counselor.
Oh, there isn't. Could I make a motion to suspend the rules to allow a member of the public to
Sure.
speak?
Just by general consent, we'll do it. There's no objection. We'll suspend the rules for that.
Mr. Guys?
Thank you all. Sorry about that. So just to give you a little background, since the onset of World War II, we've had 130,000 American POWs suffer under being prisoner of war. We've had 40,000 American military personnel still missing in action. A couple weeks ago, I went before the Veterans Commission and received permission for them to unanimously to put a POW MIA chair at the 50-yard line at Cawley Stadium. And I just want to reiterate that Veterans Assisting Veterans and John McDonald have already raised all the funds. We're not asking you guys for a cent. We're just asking you for permission to make this happen. Lawrence and Malden have already received one from the same organization, Veterans Assisting Veterans. Braintree has 3 of them. I don't really want to let these cities and towns one-up us, so I think we can make this happen, and I don't see any reason why not to. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Mr. Guys said it very well and spoke directly to the point. I think this is just another way to heighten awareness to a generation that to some degree still doesn't understand POW and MIA and the sacrifices that those families gave and they continue to experience. And I think more often than not, the chair draped with the flags, the U.S. flag and the POW MIA flag is such a, it creates such a presence when you walk in City Hall, and more often than not, I see younger kids asking what that is about, and I think this serves as another example to put it at the high school where young high school students will be able to recognize and ask questions about it if they don't, they don't know about it. So I thank the Veterans Council and Veterans Assisting Veterans. They pay for it, and the chairs aren't inexpensive, by the way, but it's their way of giving back and never forgetting about our POWs and MIA. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any further discussion? Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the former Mayor, Richard Howe, would say that this particular motion is a no-brainer, so I don't feel that it should be referred to the Parks Subcommittee. I think that we should take a roll call vote, and from there on, we'll refer this to the Board of Parks, of which they meet the last Wednesday in the month, and I would be honored to be there to speak on behalf of this motion and the outcome as to how they vote on it.
So are you offering a substitute motion then?
Yes, to have a roll call vote to, instead of it going to the Parks Subcommittee. I think it's something that speaks for itself in a positive way. So if there's no objection to the maker of the motion,
No, I'm perfectly fine with that. I just, as a matter of protocol and
so if we could
respect
just,
and procedure, I just wanted to include
sure.
the subcommittee, but I think it makes sense. I don't think no one will
So if
be
we could
opposed to
have
this.
just a roll call on it, that
Okay.
would be sufficient, I think.
All right, so the substitute motion is to approve it and refer it to the Board of Parks
Through a roll call vote.
simultaneously? Okay. And that's seconded by Counsel Elliott. Further discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll have roll call.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy. Counsel Leary.
Yes.
Counsel Mercier.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
8 yeas.
The next motion of the evening is a motion by Counsel Elliott and Counsel Milonazo, the request that the City Council adopt a resolution to oppose a funding cut to the Mass Cultural Council in the FY17 state budget. Motion needs no second. Who wants to go first? Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Councilor Milonazo. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just recently, the House released its budget, and one of the items in that budget was a reduction to the Cultural Council. And I know the city has been, we've been grateful, and we received significant funding from that source. And when I saw that the cut, I mean, the governor level funded it, and the budget as presented includes a $4 million cut. I know that there will be amendments, but I thought it was important knowing the significance and the importance of culture and how it plays out in the city, and the use of the funds that and how they're used and how they're stretched in the city to continue to support so many organizations and artists and events, not so much events, but projects in the city. I thought it was important that we go on record to, to ensure that it's at least level funded. And I believe the chairman of tourism has an amendment to increase it to the budget line item to 17 million. Level funded is 14. So I won't dwell on the issue. I hope that we can get the support and send the message that we know in the city of Lowell it's important, and it's important across the state. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Council Milonazo?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilor Elliott said it best, but again, we all know how much money the cultural community does bring into the city. I think we've seen presentations where for every $1 of public money, we generate $15 or $20 in private investment. So I think it's so important to try to get this back to either level funded or the $17 million amendment. Our state senator has been very involved, as well as our entire state delegation. In fact, we know that Representative Golden actually chairs the Merrimack Valley Visitors Center, and this money means so much to that program as well. So again, I think it's important for us to go on record supporting at least the level funding for this year.
Okay, any further discussion from the council? Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. If the motion passes, I hope you don't mind, but the House of Representatives is debating the budget right now, so if I would call the delegation and inform them of the vote, that way we could have it immediately during these budget deliberations.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? All opposed? So voted. The next motion of the evening is a motion by Council Milonazo to request that the city manager report on the impact of the pending transformative development initiative aimed at gateway cities may have on the Lowell's economic development agenda. Seconded by Council Rourke. Council Milonazo.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, and as a result of your due diligence today, I'm actually amend my motion because I understand through our conversation today that if this does get approved, and it's part of Governor Baker's $900 million economic development initiatives, they've set aside $50 million for gateway cities, but they've only selected 10 gateway cities, and unfortunately Lowell has not been selected as we understand it. So maybe my motion should read that we contact the state legislature, our delegation, to see if we can get included in this initiative. The money's actually going to go through mass development, but it's, again, to spur on economic development in gateway cities. So obviously, in my opinion, Lowell certainly has done a great deal of economic development as a gateway community. So I would love to get us as part of this transformative development initiative. So that's the gist of the motion. And thank you, Mayor Kennedy, for that information.
All right, so we have an amendment to the motion?
Correct.
Council Rourke, you're good with the amendment? Further discussion? Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a terrific motion. There are 10 gateway cities. And the Economic Development Bond Bill, it's a 5-year bill. So as you mentioned, Mr. Manager, the House is debating their version of it, and it's important. I know there are 10 cities, but as Councilor Milanazzo mentioned, the gateway cities, and I do believe we submitted an application, and now is the time to reach out to Mass Development to say, is there opportunity? We have received a working grant. This is something similar, but it's the additional support that will come once a plan is in place and other communities are well underway. So I think I think the timing is significant, and the opportunities for funding, not just this year, but again, it's a 5-year authorization, and money will continue to be appropriated, presumably. This is just making its way through the committee, so I'm sure Lowell is not the only community gateway city that would be interested in becoming a TDI community, and I support the motion and reaching out to Mass Development to see if they're, what the process is of becoming a community, which opens up so many other doors for funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? All opposed? So voted. The next motion of the evening is a report from Council Milanazzo to request that the city manager report on the impact of the State Brownfields Redevelopment Fund, to report on the impact that the State Brownfields Development Fund has had on contaminated sites in Lowell. Seconded by Council Rourke. Council Milanazzo.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager. Again, I'm looking for a report as to how much funds we actually have received. If you think of the Sarwazam site as an example, and looking at the Tanner Street initiative going forward, how much have we actually received, and are there other sites that the administration has identified to actually bring about, again, economic development on those particular sites? So that's the gist of the request. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this motion? All in favor of the motion? All opposed? So voted. The next motion of the evening is a motion by Councilor Samaras. Request that the city manager provide a status report regarding the former waterworks building on Hampshire Street. Seconded by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. As you know, Mr. Manager, the old waterworks building on Hampshire Street has been a problem and been considered a problem by the Centerville Neighborhood Association. Their concerns at present is that even though it's boarded up, some child might be able to slip into the building and hurt themselves, or other problems can be created by this building. I'd like to see a status report on this building, but I was also informed by the Neighborhood Association they would like that report to be given at either Councilor Rourke's neighborhood meeting date, or even earlier if possible, so they may discuss other alternatives that might be able to happen at this site. So we need a status report, but at the same time, the neighborhood people would like to discuss what will happen and have some input into that process.
Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is probably the third or fourth time this motion has come before us, probably in the past just a few months. So I know when the agenda comes out on Fridays, the clerk sends it to 40 or 50 different, in neighborhood groups of people. Is there a way that we could also send out the packet as well to that same email list? I've given the report, Council Blanchard and Council Samaras, we've talked about the response that the city has been given to this particular building. I believe, one of the things is going to be to take the building down and maybe put some green space in or something like that. But it just thought, slightly off topic, is if we could get the actual agenda, not just the scheduled page, but everything to those same people that get it on Fridays, not just the agenda, but also the actual packet that goes out. I know there's a way on the city website you can access it, but maybe just to make it a little bit easier, if we could actually get the actual packet out to those same people, that might be of help.
Mr. Manager.
Yeah, Mr. Baldwin just came up with a good idea. Maybe we can put a link on the agenda, that email, to link into the website and into the actual packet in the website. But we'll look into trying to find a way to include a link on that.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on this? Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I think over the weekend, or even before that, we all received a package in the mail regarding this particular piece of property from a private developer, Mr. Natali. Is there an RFP out there, or is there any process that we're looking at it, and I think Council Rourke mentioned this, not only in the last 3 or 4 months, but probably in the last 3 or 4 years or 10 years that we've been trying to do something with this property. And interestingly enough, I was surprised to see this proposal that the individual wants to offer, I believe, $200,000 and convert it into housing. So my question, Mr. Manager, is there a proposal forthcoming, or is this individual, it's city-owned property, so it has to go through, the public disposition process. Are we moving in that direction, or were you as surprised as we were?
Mr. Manager.
I was as surprised as you were, because I know when we developed the last response relative to this, the reason we were heading towards like a community garden educational park position was because the neighborhood group had opposed housing in the past. But with this new proposal, we'll share that. I think it's a great opportunity to share it with the neighborhood association and see if they would buy into that type of proposal also.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? All opposed? So voted. The next motion of the evening is a motion by Council Samaras and Council Belanger to request that the City Council offer a letter of support to the DPD application to the Boston Federal Reserve Working Cities Challenge Grant. Council Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. When I made the original motion for the Department of Planning and Development to meet with the stakeholders in the Middlesex Street, Salem Street corridor between the university and the Smith Baker Center, I really wanted people to have a say on what was to happen in their area. But I'm very pleased with what is happening in this area. I want to thank Kevin Coughlin for bringing the stakeholders together to help develop this Working Cities Challenge Grant. I think this is very important for the area. This project can actually create systemic change in this area, something that's very important. And actually, whether we get this grant or not, I think the model that Mr. Coughlin's been working with all of the stakeholders can be used in all the other neighborhoods. But I truly do hope that we do obtain that grant, because it's approximately $500,000 for the next 3 years. That will help probably the most neediest neighborhood, in the city, and I think it's very important at this time. So I think it's important that this city council sign a letter of support for this grant. And I would, ask the city manager and his staff to develop that letter for the city council to sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, Council Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nicely done by Council Samaras, but I do want to stress the importance of this initiative here, this Working Cities Grant. It's that this improves quality of life issues along the Merrimack Street corridor. Now, regarding transportation, sidewalk, language barriers, this addresses all this area in what's predominantly a low-income neighborhood. Now, it's estimated there's about 1,400 housing units along this corridor, and 1,100 low-income. So this initiative strives to change that. So that's why Working Cities is in there. So this will help this neighborhood with outreach. We can outreach to them. There'll be actually activists who go out to neighborhoods and knock on doors and tell them of services that are available, English language services. One of the biggest barriers is transportation to work. I mean, not every resident of the acre, most don't have vehicles. And every job cannot be within the boundaries of the acre. So there's transportation issues that they really succumb to. So we're trying to address that, as well as the quality of life issues. So this is very, very important to that corridor to help break that cycle. So I want to commend, as Councilor Samaras did, Kevin Coughlin has done a phenomenal job. There were several input sessions, and I think there's 1 or 2 more. We've already had about 4. But if you realize the information we have now on this corridor, it's priceless. So I now understand why we've had the number of input sessions that we have had. So it's extremely valuable as we go forward. I'm very confident in this grant, and some of it's matching, and I believe there's some community partners involved too. So this could parlay into far more than what's advertised here. So this is a very important initiative in a neighborhood that's been forgotten in a long time, that deserves our attention. So I think it's great. So Councilor Samaras and I, as well as the entire council, have been attending most of the forums, but we thought it exceptionally important to stress support to the manager and to the delegation that this is much needed in this corridor. So I just wanted to stress that, Mr. Mayor, so thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? All opposed? So voted. The next motion of the evening is a motion by Councilor Leahy to request that the city manager explore creating a data position at the Division of Planning and Development that would include collecting and analyzing information to assist with housing, economic development, planning, and homelessness. We have a second by Councilor Leary. Councilor Leahy's not here. I did have an opportunity to speak with him, and I think the manager did too. So if there's no objection, we'll just refer we'll refer this motion to the city manager for a report and recommendation. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm a little confused. I understand, is this another data analyst? We currently have a data analyst, right? It's Rodney. So is this for a second individual to collect what I think is probably similar information, or does Rodney do something different that I'm not aware of?
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. My initial research shows that it's not a full-time position that they need. It's just somebody to help them with collection of data relative to homelessness and housing. So it's something I think we can work with our existing staff to get that data for them.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm going to support the motion to send it to you. I was just kind of curious if you've had some preliminary discussions on this, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion? All opposed? So voted. The next motion of the evening is a motion by Councilor Leary to request that the city manager prepare an update regarding the installation of FiOS technology in the city. Seconded by Councilor Milonazo. Councilor Leary.
Just real quick, I think it was, at the last technology subcommittee meeting, I think most of us at it were, a little depressed that we learned. I mean, the only thing we really concrete learned at that meeting, emphatically learned that they weren't doing FiOS anymore. So I was very excited to hear the city of Boston is now going to get FiOS over a 6-year plan, about worth $300 million worth of that, and they're going to get that technology. So I know that plan must have took a long time to put together, so I'm sure right now, Mr. Manager, that they're putting our plan together right now, and I think at this point in time, it would be kind of appropriate to reach out to have that discussion with them, and we don't need $300 million, I think, for the size, although maybe just, $75 million in that range, but I think it's high time, and I think it's appropriate, and quite frankly, I'm kind of optimistic now in a self-deprecating way. I think it'll be a good thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Councilor Milonazo.
I'd just like to get into the record that the CEO's first name is Lowell McAdams. So again, if we, can play that straw, we should just,
We have that
go around.
going for
I know
us.
Boston actually brought Robert Kraft in to the discussions, as I understand it.
That's true.
Mayor Menino was not, I'm sorry, they weren't making progress with Mayor Menino, but they were with Mayor Walsh and Robert Kraft. But his first name is Lowell.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed? So voted. The last motion of the evening is a motion by myself to request that the city manager of the property department provide a report regarding the water meter readings at 47 10th Street. We have a registered speaker for this motion.
Richard
I have a
Hines.
second to the motion by Councilor Rourke.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Council. Yeah, I've had my water meter changed a few months back, and since then I've gotten a bill 3 times as high, and now 5 times as high, and with no explanation for the water department. And now I've had, I guess, something run by the mayor's office. They had a breakdown run by your secretary informed me that they had a breakdown run by your office, and maybe I can even get a copy of that, Mr. Mayor. Is that true?
I'm not sure what she was referring to, but we'll get an answer for you on that tomorrow.
Would that be okay? No, it's just, I mean, 5 times as much is what it was before they changed the meter. It's just, I mean, I could have bathed in champagne and not had it, you know, be this much. If I wasn't paying enough, I figure if the first bill would have, you know, settled it, the 3 times as much, and I mean, if it's gonna be next quarter, 7 times as much, I mean, we just can't afford it. It's just me and my wife that are living there. I'm really concerned about this. If this is the way it's gonna be, maybe I can get a breakdown of it. Maybe somebody from the federal government can look at it, or I'm very concerned. I just, it's something that's way above our head. I'm just very worried. I mean, if somebody can help me, you know. It really is. It's just me and my wife. I mean, we're not doing anything different. It was a change of meter, and now we're very concerned that we're going to be in over our heads just for drinking water in the. And I noticed that earlier you said something about there was a problem with sewage on the bottom of 11th Street. A lot of our bill is a huge storage debt. So we don't know if that might be a problem with that.
Okay.
Should I contact the water department, or could this be handled?
Mr. Mayor, I can make a motion that we refer this issue to the city manager.
Well, that's a motion that's before us.
Right.
So we have,
I'm just begging for.
this is on the agenda. It's good that you came down to speak, but we put this on the agenda because your bill is so high.
Thank you,
To have
Mr.
the
Mayor.
city manager look into it. So I don't think you need
Thank
to
you.
contact the federal government or the water department or anything. You just let the city manager handle it, and he'll report back to you on what the findings are.
Okay, it's due very, very soon. I don't want to incur any more, you know, late fees or, so
I would just wait for the report from the manager, and then hopefully you'll be satisfied with that report.
okay. Should I get in touch with your secretary tomorrow, sir?
Yes,
Okay, I'll do that then.
okay, all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr.
thank
Manager?
you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, that's Mrs. Moynihan from the manager's office. If you just give her your telephone number, we're going to have the water department reach out to you and go over everything.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any discussion, Council Mercy?
I would suggest Mark Young from the wastewater as well. I think there could be a storage problem that is leaking somewhere, and we don't know that yet.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion? All opposed? So voted. Now we go to announcements. Are there any announcements?
Yes.
Council
yes.
Mercy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, we have a Sierra Leone flag raising at City Hall on Saturday at 11 o'clock. There's a dedication at 10 a.m. of the Ben Hall Masterson Memorial Playground. That's Gage Field up in Centerville. That's at 10 o'clock in the morning. I know the people that were involved with the revitalization of Gage Field did a tremendous job, and we're going to have that dedication at 10. At night, there's an annual fundraiser dinner for men and women of Vision Empowerment Nations. That's going to be at the former St. John d'Arc Church, 125 Mount Hope Street. But in the very morning from 8 a.m., Comcast Cares Day at Pawtucketville School. So it'd be a very busy Saturday morning.
Sunday is the flag raising for the Polish American as well. So that's
Better not forget
a
that.
busy Sunday too.
12:30.
Any additional announcements? Hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. We have motion adjourned by Council Rourke, seconded by Council Elliott. All in favor, all opposed? Stand adjourned.
Good job, Eddie.